which mic you want to kid. Alrighty, people, and with that, we find ourselves back inside a Sense and Sensibility. Of course, in More FM 104.7. I'm Kevin DeFreitas, and of course, we have Mr. Philip Alexander this morning with us. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Kevin. Good morning to the loyal listeners of 104.7. Good morning to everyone following me on social media on my Facebook page. Are you hearing me on the mic as yet?
Yes, they have. I have the correct mic.
Did you hear all of it?
No.
What? Oh, sorry. Say good morning again to all the loyal listeners of 104.7. It's always a hit and miss to find the mic. I think you should label the mics. I'm just making that as a suggestion. Anyway, it's nice to have you back, Kevin. I know that you were on bereavement leave. How are you?
All right.
Yeah?
Yeah. If everyone's on the right hand together, remember, but it's normal.
You spoke about it. You spoke about the experience. You spoke about
many things happened over there. I could talk. I mean, the experience of mom passing is one thing because it's once in a lifetime your mother died. But I took a load of pictures. People probably wonder why am I taking so much pictures of scenery. The main reason I took pictures of so much scenery is because the place clean. That's why I couldn't get so far.
I didn't ask you to talk politics. You were there for a reason. You okay?
Yes, I'm okay.
And I would like to say thank you to all of the PEP members and all of the supporters and all of the listeners who took time to raise Kevin's mummy up in prayers and best wishes.
Thank you very much.
And we really had hoped for a better outcome, Kevin. I am so terribly sorry. You're a giant of a man. The way you handle it, you have my respect. To those of you who ever want to hear Kevin's voice, because you don't hear it on the live video really, you could tune in on 104.7, but Kevin don't get to talk much.
You get the app, you know. The app is
Get the
pretty
app.
good too.
What's the app?
The More FM app. It's pink, it's blue, it's in the Play Store, it's
What?
in the App Store as well. It's not hard to find. More FM, you type it in and it will come up. Every time you type more, it starts to come up in the pink and blue.
There's a pink and blue More FM app for those of you.
On a blue background. It's easy.
For those of you who would like to hear Kevin's voice.
There are those I know in the Florida area who are listening because I encourage them to put on the app now. And they did, and they said so good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We actually, the PEP has a new app, and I was going to surprise you with it on Saturday when we see you there. Pep Radio is live right now.
Yeah.
So Maya Khan and the team waiting to talk to you because you know you have extensive experience in this radio business,
I'll be there Saturday. I'll see what's going on.
and they're waiting to talk to you. The Pep Radio is live. If you've not downloaded the PEP app as yet, the PEP app, Progressive Empowerment Party app, it is PEP, APP, 2 words, and it is free to download on all of the app sites. PEP Radio is on the PEP app. PEP Radio is, you could also download it standalone, and it's available on the website, I think, peptt.com. So check out PEP Radio because we're putting things in place to bypass the media blackout. Kevin,
Something else.
I watched this guy on CNC3 this morning. CNC3 a morning. I saw a video. It wasn't this morning. I saw it on YouTube. And there's this guy Wazim who's he's working with an Inshan. And I had to go and check because he's being interviewed by Urvashi Tiwari. And she's talking to him about his live videos and that he has 100,000 views. And so I go to check.
Yeah.
Because he's done 6 videos. And between them, they have about 20,000 views. And I'm thinking, everybody thinks that what I do is easy. You know? And they all start off, because it's easy to do that first video, I must say, that first video, and you get some numbers. But sustaining it with content after that, and I had to listen though, because I listened to the whole 22 minutes of time I'll never get back. And I want to explain something to Trinidadians. When they hear me say that we're not interested in joining up, it's not that we're antisocial. None of the people in the Progressive Empowerment Party at the management level were my friends from before. These are all people that I have met in the PEP that we've working together and formed ourselves into an organization. I see other people turn their handful of followers into viewers on their videos. That's not what I do. I don't market to friends and family. But the reason for not wanting to link up with all of these people who calling for all of these linking up and getting together is, link up and do what? Sing Kumbaya? If you don't have a plan, a policy, a program, you just got 22 minutes on CNC3 ostensibly they still have something like an audience. And for that entire 22 minutes, neither of those two people in that interview spoke about anything that could correct any problem in this failed nation. Why would anybody be interested in listening to anybody that offers nothing as a solution? Why would we join up with all of these little fledgling organizations, everybody who finds the live video button on Facebook and wants to organize themselves politically? And I found out watching that video that he had a march, 11 people came, and I'm thinking, we have a couple thousand people at our events because we can't afford, like the PNM and the UNC, to stunt a crowd. We can't pay people to attend. So the couple thousand people who come to our meetings are genuine attendees interested in what the Progressive Empowerment Party is talking about. And yet, clowns like Enchan would come and take video and say the crowd's small. And I look around to see any memes from Enchan, from his friend Wazim, and his 11-man march. And nobody, and again, I want to tell these people, because it's not that I'm looking for enemies. I'm really looking to make friends. But people have to stop putting their own start putting their own ego aside. Stop putting yourself first. This is not my father. He told me all of my growing up life. The race is not for the swiftest. It's for who stays the course. We shared an article that was written in The Guardian. Very few articles get it into main media on Philip Edward Alexander or the Progressive Empowerment Party. So pervasive is the media blackout that is trying to hide the PEP from Trinidad and Tobago, but would bring Wazim Daniel on CNC3 for 5 videos. I do 5 videos a week. Wazim has done 5 videos in his life. I do 5 a week. CNC3. Is that still there? Is that still going on?
He's still doing his thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I see Akashi Samaru doing
He has something to run.
doing it once a week too. Because CNC3 realize that I have an audience and that what we do has a following, right? People want it. So they're trying to find a Louis Hart, a Akash Samaru, a Sonny Bling, keep throwing personalities at it, trying to reinvent the wheel. But it's not just about personalities. You have to have real problem-solving solutions to bring to the conversation, or it's just entertainment. And that's not what I am. So if you want entertainment, there's IBN. Once a week, you could go and watch Enchan stunt himself for money. We don't do that. What we do is we've organized more nation rebuilding policies and programs than any political party in this country's history. And we're willing to debate anybody, anywhere, anytime. We want to dig deep, and as deep as you're prepared to go, into all of these solutions. I'm getting ready to come here this morning, Kevin, and I'm thinking all of these ex-politicians, and all of them, Mariano Brown, Vasant Bharat, Stephen Cadiz, Kamla Prasad Bissessa, Amory Brown, Penelope Beckles, all of them. And I look to their track record to see what are they offering us solutions, because Trinidad and Tobago is a dot. Tobago is bigger than New York City. New York City has more police officers than Tobago have people. I like to twin Trinidad to the island of New York City, because New York City has one mayor running that whole show. And in New York City, last year, their murder rate was 291. And he in trouble. The mayor in trouble. The commissioner in trouble. How 291 people get murdered? The commissioner of police in trouble. They're having symposiums for the public to come in and discuss it. 291 for 8.5 million people in Trinidad. For 1.5 million people, we had over 500 murders.
291, they don't have celebration. Champagne popping.
Joke and fun aside, we had 500 murders, and our Minister of National Security, they have just a commissioner of police and a mayor. We have a prime minister, a president, a senate, a house of representatives, 41 MPs, We have a Minister of National Security who has 2 ministerial sidekicks. We don't know their names. We don't hear their voices. We have a Commissioner of Police and 19 divisions of a police service. And not one of them have accounted to the nation why we would have had 500 murders. In New York City, the mayor is under pressure right now that the ambulance service is routinely crossing the 4-minute mark in a response. 4 minutes.
No,
4 minutes, Kevin. Kevin,
New York
4
is a big
minutes.
place, a lot of driving, a lot of
Kevin,
traffic.
4 minutes, Kevin, 4
A lot of
minutes.
traffic.
4
It
minutes.
might take longer than 4 minutes in some places.
Kevin, he's not allowed. If they cross 7 minutes, they fire him.
Hey,
Ambulance response time is critical.
It is. It is.
When you get heart attack, stroke, dismemberment, seizure, gunshot, stabbing,
Yes, something dangerous.
a vehicle
I
accident,
understand because when I was in my accident,
Tissue.
I lied on the road, I thought it was forever.
Kevin,
No, but it didn't take
Ryan
long.
Shepherd has 2 dead valves in his heart. Tissue dies. When tissue is critical and needs attention, medical intervention, it starts to die. You cut off a finger, you cut off your hand, and you hold it together, and you're waiting to get to the hospital. You have a magic window, limited time to get there, or that tissue starts to die. Your brain in a stroke, starved of oxygen, starts to die. A seizure, critical organs start to die. So there is a magic window of time. If you look at all of the documentaries or the TV shows, you will see that from the minute the call is made for an ambulance, the person talking to you on that 911 call is trained in police, fire, and paramedic emergency call center operation. And they have screens on their computer. So it's out of their hands. The call comes in and they pull up a screen that they know asking you questions based on questions on the screen. And they're answering in fields what you say. Your call is being recorded. Their responses to you being recorded in case you die. Because they will do a morbid and mortality meeting. If you as a patient die, to find the chain where the link may have been broken. So this call center operator, this is the seriousness of the situation. As he or she is entering into these fields, this system that they're entering into is dispensing that information in multiples of spaces to multiples of people. So this call center do say, hold on, let me call the ambulance. The system has already put those wheels in motion. And the information they're asking you for, what is the problem, and more details, is to give them the details so that they know what bags and equipment to grab and throw in that bag. And they're asking you for your address, and they're finding the address on the GPS, and they're linking the van. The van is now driving practically itself, location finder, trying to get to you. They know, and you see them in the back of the van, opening syringes, adding the medicine, whatever they need, filling the syringes, getting everything ready, unpacking stuff, because they know they're coming for somebody who just get bite by a scorpion, or somebody who just get bite by a snake, or somebody who was in an accident and the arm or leg severed and pulsating blood, so you know you might have severed an artery, so you have to deal with that, because the paramedic's job is to stabilize you and get you to emergency medical intervention as soon as possible. When they come and they arrive and they get to you, they have already had all of the information from the call center. That call changes hands. In some cases, the call center links the paramedic to the closest emergency room. Listen to the science. The call changes now. So I'm passing you on to the emergency room at Cedar Sinai Center. Let's join your reference, right? And they answer the call. And they routed all of the information that the paramedic call center got from the caller has also been routed to the emergency room. So the emergency room doctor and personnel don't have to ask you any questions. Everything is right there for them. All they need to know from you now, the paramedic operator who has control of the patient, they want vital signs and statistics. They want to know everything about this. Where are you? How long before you think? The system telling them, GPS and Waze telling them that they're 3 minutes out. And the operator in the back of the van who has, they call them a bus, in the back of the bus, who has control of the patient is speaking to the critical care doctor and giving them all of the information. Since we took control of this person, this is what we've done, and this is the situation, this is the pulse rate, the blood pressure, and all of those things. As they get to the hospital, a team has already been assembled. That is a team that is waiting on you. All of this is happening in 5 minutes, you know. That team that is running to the door, that team that is running to the door to meet the stretcher, is a team of people that have been briefed as to the case, and most likely people who are trained specific to deal with what you have. And they take over, and the handover takes about a minute. They are all running together with you on a stretcher, and the main paramedic is telling the main officer any other details that he didn't give him over the phone. That stretcher reaches alongside the emergency room bed if they're transferring you.
It sounds like a lot, but people have to realize at the same time here, it's because of this a lot is possibly why it's so efficient.
Kevin, we spend $5 billion here on healthcare. Come on, man. We spend $5 billion here on healthcare.
And we have ambulance drivers who run in
But-
PH. Pay them the $500 and they'll come for you.
But I want you guys to understand how a working nation works. And the moment that your stretcher reaches inside that emergency room, they decide right there and then if your condition is so critical that they're not even taking you off that stretcher. There is a standby stretcher that the paramedics take, load back in their bus, and go back to where they're going. They may stand up and smoke cigarette outside waiting for the stretcher like we do here. Load it back in the bus and head back to the paramedic base. And you are there and they're treating you. The emergency room is a separate organization from the hospital. The emergency room, casualty, accident and emergency, their job is to stabilize you further and to see if they can treat and release, or if they have to ward you and pass you over to the actual hospital who is now responsible for you for a longer stay. And that is how emergency medical response works in a first world nation. Now, why doesn't it work that way in Trinidad? When we spend $5 billion, it's not like, well, boy, Phil, we don't have money to spend on emergencies here. We can't train our call centers. We can't get proper paramedics. We can't afford proper ambulances. We can't set proper times. When somebody dies in Trinidad and Tobago, I do not know what happens then. But the entire chain of custody of that patient, all of them are certain of their role along the way and could be summoned to give testimony as to what went wrong, critical care.
We have many things indeed that we can improve upon and can fix indeed. But I gotta let you know it's now 11:24. Give it time check here to see about quality. And we're running here. Of course, I have something to remind you about. Forget people. The night before Mother's Day, it's Kabuki's Black. It's happening at the exclusive La Soledad Estate in Maracas, St. Joseph. It's the event where everybody's got to be wearing black because it's the night before Mother's Day, and it's black is the party's name. Yeah? Tickets $200, and advance, of course, if those of you who want to be a little more VIP, there are $500 tickets. Yep, get the tickets at Mr. One Stop Mart on Arima Old Road. Please for the Spain, Bobby's Bar and Rep, Party Foods Arima, Fats International, Sylvester's Bar, In Excess, La Luna Bar and Aruca, Sal Lounge Shops in Arima, Diamonds by Sarah in the South, Kirby's Barbershop in Chicago. Of course, you have the numbers to call: 293-1145, 786-1455, or 772-2661. Kabuki's Black, Saturday, May 12th. That's the night of it. Alright, so now those important things have been stepped out of the way here. We heard about what it could be like for emergency response, for medical. I mean, we have the issues in our country of the time the ambulances do take to get there. And like I said, from personal experience, the ambulance drivers wanted $500 to make a run. Yeah. And they've inculcated this so much to the fact that people actually believe this is the norm.
And
It's
that's
not
it.
the norm.
No, they see that's the norm in a failed nation. And the information I'm trying to put out there is to show China that we are spending the money that a developed nation spends, but it's being stolen. Other people are making off with that money, and we're not getting what we paid for. Let's look at the police service. In New York City, when a police goes on shift, there are 3 watches. A day is divided into 3 watches, 3 8-hour shifts. First watch, second watch, third watch. And you go on shift. Every watch has a sergeant responsible for his for his community and all of his officers. Anything go wrong, you see how just now I show you the chain of command for the whole medical emergency? Look how it's done in the police service, right? You go on duty in the police service, you go to the police command center for your area. And your sergeant, 30 officers in his room, tells everybody in the room, this is what has been going on while you weren't here.
Right.
This is what the last 2 shifts, the last 2 watches have been dealing with. So you know, because they're passing over to you. Because Kevin, you see this street that we're on?
Yeah.
5 streets like this. You on shift, this is now your 5 streets. Now while you were getting ready to come to work, somebody else had custody of these 5 streets.
Right.
Another police officer has been walking these 5 streets, and it is now yours. He is going to pass over to you. So the sergeant's job is to make sure that you're aware of any problems that was going on in these 5 streets. And of everybody in that room, the streets are broken up into which officer handles which areas, which districts, and they have 2 types of police officers. They have walking officers, what they call beat cops, and then they have mobile commands. Now inside of a mobile command would be generally 2 police officers as backup. And for every 5 streets, let's say there are 10 officers like you operating 5 streets each, that's 50 streets. This command center cannot leave these 50 streets. All he is doing, all they are doing, is driving around for their entire shift, checking up on the 10 officers that they're working with, and on standby for if you, as a police officer, have an emergency, the first thing you do on your radio is clip to your shirt, and you press it, and you give some numbers. The first number you give is the code of what you think you're going into. The second piece of information you give is your location. That command vehicle decides if you need further backup. They respond to say that they're on their way to you, and other mobile units, if what you're going into is a riot and Trioli alone can handle it, other mobile units tell their base, their command, their sergeant, we're going to give them backup too. So we let you know our area kind of exposed. So be prepared in case. Send in, augment us, but we're close by. So we're going too. You understand what I'm telling you?
It seems to work like this on in TV when you see it on TV shows.
The reason you see it like that because that's how it's done. And at the end of the watch, everybody's body cams and dashboard cams are downloaded and turned over to the sergeant to sign off on. I want you to understand this. The officer has no control over the dash cam in his car, and the officer wearing a body cam, Kevin, and I want all the listeners to hear this. The person wearing the body cam or the person driving the car have no control over the data in those cameras, so that they know that the purpose of the body cam and the dashboard cam is not for them, but it is for their supervisors to monitor how they performed while on duty. And that's what it's for. So in case of a killing, or anything like that, there is data that they could access on the ground from their police officers to show what might have taken place. So it's not just your word. In situations where you as a police officer might have killed somebody, you have to stand down and they investigate you and that information to see if the police service could get behind you and defend you. They call it a good kill inside the service. I'm telling you this because you need to understand this. We spend between 10 and 15 billion dollars a year on national security.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Yet we have, you can't walk out, you're walking outside, you're looking over your shoulder. You're going to buy something, you can't, you see how many videos have we seen out there? People going in the bar just to relax.
Kevin,
They getting robbed.
Kevin,
You can't buy Chinese food, they getting robbed.
you could pick up the phone here and call for an ambulance and call for a police officer and time how long that intervention takes to happen. And that's a problem we have in this country. Our essential services are badly mismanaged, and we've come to accept failed nation services as normal services. And you just mentioned bribing people. Look at our Coast Guard. We just found $35 million worth of cocaine
That was
in the airport. A laborer, 2 store attendants, and 2 security guards. Between them, if you would believe the media release put out by Trinidad and Tobago Police Service, between them they were able to chip up $35 million and have the wherewithal to contact whoever manufactures cocaine. I wouldn't know who to pick up the phone and call to get $100 worth of cocaine. Who do you call for 800 coke? Who do you call for $35 million worth of cocaine? So if you and your suffering friends able to pony up the $35 million to bring the cocaine, Kevin, and I want to point this out. I want you to get into a boat and motor up to New York City, anywhere around New York City. When you're about 5 miles out, you get a radio broadcast asking you to identify yourself and your intentions. This is no joke. Since 911, you can't just drive up to New York City, you know. They're monitoring you. They have something called a sonar buoy array around New York City, that when you cross it, you trip an alarm for the people monitoring the border of New York City, the marine border. So they call you and ask you to identify yourself and your intentions. They ain't taking your word for it, but they're opening the channel of communications, and that's what it's called. Ignore that.
We chose to ask you, you chose not to answer.
Kevin, ignore that. The next thing you see is some very serious Coast Guard men pulling up alongside you and calling on you, not through your radio anymore, but through loudspeakers that you could hear from a mile away. Yield. Understand, if you don't yield and you try to cross 3 miles out, they will sink you. If you do not respond and you do not yield, they will sink your boat, because they are not allowing you and whatever explosive device you might have on your boat to get closer than 3 miles out. In Trinidad, a sailboat sailed unmanned right through Tobago and around. I think it reached Trinidad before anybody even asked a question, what's going on with this boat? There was nobody on the boat. You could jump in a pirogue, sail to Venezuela, buy a football, and drive up the Caroni with that football. And there will be nobody to stop you and ask you a single question. We have no marine borders. None. You have to ask the question. The cocaine that found itself in the Trinidad fruit juice tin that went to Norfolk, Virginia. The first question we have to ask is, how did it get here? This $35 million worth of cocaine, how did it get here? The $600 million worth of cocaine on Bonas Island, how did it get here? Again, national security, border security. We have no border security. We have no community policing. You have no emergency response. This is a failed nation. This is a proper failed nation. You go into the schools, Presentation, SAGS, Providence, Holy Name, St. Joseph, Fatima, St. Mary's, QRC. In those schools, you have a chance at a life. Any of the other schools, you have a chance of ending up in jail or dead, cashing in KFC. Now, nothing is absolute, and there will be people, but look at the averages of the prestige schools and look at the averages of the schools that are also ran, because 1,000 seats prestige, 19,000 seats at common entrance SCA time is, well, what to tell you. We will make it if we try. Sing all the platitude songs that you know, because you have to encourage yourself to get past the fact that now you're going into a school system that is governed by nobody but excuse makers. Tutor and the Minister of Education has one job: to make excuses for the failure of a $5 billion a year education system to properly educate this nation's children. Why don't we have 10-year zone schools with all children given a mandatory grade point average from which you can test the performance every term of all the children, all the teachers, all the schools, all the principals, the entire constituency? Why don't we? Because in Trinidad, education too is a criminal enterprise.
People, it's 11:37. Give me this time check courtesy of Rodney's Supermarket. And we're going to take us as a quick break. Very quick. We'll be back after this.
Turn up the mic.
Robert and Sharon Amar, in collaboration with M104.7 FM, host a day of prayer and reflection, Wednesday, 16th May, from 6:30 a.m. and continue half hour in every shift with 5 religious denominations giving you live prayer on that day in light of the rising crime and bloodshed in our beloved country. Join us with a day of
I am
prayer
on the
and
radio
reflection,
every
Wednesday,
Thursday, so he knows that.
May. Brought to you by Robert and Sharon Amar and M104.7 FM.
All right, okay, cool.
All right, so let's get back inside here, and I've got to remind you about this Saturday, May 12th, at the exclusive La Soledad Estate in Maracas and Joseph. It's the Bookies Black. The night before Mother's Day, mature music, classy people, 2 premium bars, 2 food courts, red wine and entry for $500. Of course, drinks inclusive in this area. It's happening from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. It's the perfect gift from mom. Now, I did see not too long ago one of custom shows on Netflix there. The agents boarded a fishing vessel. Now, apparently they were just fishing, right? And I felt kind of sorry for them because they went on, they cut open people, fish everything, they make sure there's no drugs they bring into the country.
That's your job.
And it's the amount, it's the level of weaponry they went with. Everybody went over there with automatic weapons and they're holding down the man and his son. And to make sure all they stay over there, research, and they're being cool, but you can see they were under some distress. They weren't expecting this level of force to come on board and
absolutely
tear the boats apart.
But absolutely, but you see, everybody is accountable to somebody else. There's a chain of command in everything.
You cut the people fish up, man, out to make sure.
Kevin, there's a chain of command. I want to interview the people of Norfolk, Virginia, to find out if Faris Al-Rawi was correct. Because Faris Al-Rawi told Trinidad's parliament, he's our attorney general, and he told Trinidad's parliament that it was possible for nobody to ship $600 million worth of cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia. That is possible. That there are no fingerprints, no bill of lading, no manifest documents, no organization, no VAT number, no signature, no camera footage. The Attorney General told the Parliament, the copy and paste media, copied and pasted this, that nobody shipped $600 million worth of cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia.
Kevin,
Kevin, I have lost my sense of humor. I don't even laugh at this foolishness again. When I finally pack and leave Trinidad and Tobago, it'll be because Trinidadians have decided that foolishness is better than saying, hey now, fire that fool. It's not possible to ship $600 million worth of cocaine to Norfolk, Virginia without there being evidence of a shipper and a consignee.
Yeah, hard to believe.
I want the people in Norfolk, Virginia to tell me who that shipment was meant for. Back work from there.
They shut them down a long time there.
Back work from there, Kevin. There are two people in a shipment. The sender and the receiver.
It's the same thing with the money that came into the country and disappeared. You don't know.
Stop. But never joke about it, because it is destroying lives. It is destroying this country. See, that little 16-year-old footballer who was just shot dead is a part of the critical failure to manage this country that allowed that to happen. That allowed that to happen. And we've lost sight of our nationhood. We've lost our self-respect. We've lost our dignity. We no longer understand what things like principles mean. When you stand on a principle, there are things that you say that I am for, and there are things that I am against. Those are my principles. A man's integrity is based on his ability to hold to his principles regardless of circumstance, and that determines your character. These things we don't teach in school anymore. We teach them how to fight and make porn videos. We've sent entire schools, and I say we've sent, the Minister of Education and tutor sent an entire roving band of children down Frederick Street to beat up our next child in town, you know. Because if we ain't teaching them how to be decent, law-abiding, fully contributing citizens of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, we're teaching them to be roving gangs. We have them for 8 hours a day in school, and we're teaching them something.
A lot of them just passing through the system at daycare.
The point that needs to be hammered home for all of these politicians that exist, for all the Bastille Pandays, the Michaela Pandays, the Mariano Browns, the Vasant Barretts, the Conrad Enels, the Stephen Cadises. No, but I'm telling you now.
Okay.
You were in office. You were in government. I tell Stephen Cadiz, I have no respect for you. I unfriended him on Facebook. You are writing notes and publishing blogs now? You were in the parliament, brother. You could have stood up in the parliament whenever they gave you time to speak and say, Mr. Speaker, this is a circus. This is not what the people of my constituency sent me here for. We as a nation, we as a parliament, we as people have a responsibility to want a better nation, and we who in here, in this hallowed and sacrosanct chamber, in the highest court in the land, we in the legislature, we who make up the House of Representatives, from us government comes. It is we who have the power to fix things. I tell Trinidadians, make it law that all public servants, including members of parliament and government ministers, must go public hospital. I don't care how much money you have. You can't go private hospital. Go in public health when you and your family sick. Because if you want to see it fixed fast, let them have to deal with them hard benching casualty. Take away the blue lights so that when cabinet convene, the Minister of Health, the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Sport, the Prime Minister could tell the Minister of Works, you know why it's so late? Because of traffic. Because if Trinidadians have to sit every day in mind-numbing, inexplicable, unexplainable traffic, because you get to the head of the traffic and then there's no traffic magically. It's just mismanagement, bad management, poor execution, failure at the highest levels. I showed you just now in 4 critical parts of operating a country how the chain of command and responsibility works, so that the first person that touches your problem, make sure that they deal with your issue properly, because the man above quick to say, hey, not me. When I get him, this was the situation. Talk to that guy. You understand what I'm saying?
We understand. We understand. 11:45 is the time people coming to you courtesy of Hearty Foods.
It's the night before
I see traffic in the States. It looked bad. We had to sit on and it was been flowing. For miles it was traffic when it was flowing and it wasn't supposed to stop.
Kevin, this country is broken by design, deliberately. Everything that is wrong with Trinidad and Tobago, somebody is benefiting from.
That's what I was saying this morning.
Some BMW driving, Mercedes-Benz driving, top of the hill living.
All the lanes, weak, tired excuses we get that propping up the life, propping up the stupidness in this country. Somebody is benefiting from it.
Yeah. All of you on the live, please feel free to share it with everybody.
Kabuki's Black Event, courtesy 104.7, the official station for Kabuki's Black, powered by High Level Audio.
Trinity Lighting ETC Limited, the only place for lighting, parts and accessories. Located at 23 Western Road, TGs. Trinity has the widest range of lighting.
Christ.
For chandeliers, ceiling fans, and other light fixtures. We use special orders for hard-to-find light bulbs and have month-end specials. Get 4 LED bulbs for $100. So don't go looking around. Call now 628-8373. Fax 622-6935. Email TrinityETC
Wow.
@yahoo.com. Website TrinityETC.com. Miami branch Trinity Lighting.
I want them. I want all of them to start answering these questions. How much longer in Antwerp? Is it?
3 hours.
Oh God. Remind me to plug Saturday at noon and the curriculum on the 30th. You have that info?
That curriculum is new.
Huh?
That's new for me.
Look. That. Send it for you.
Yeah, WhatsApp.
Send it to you on your Facebook. How do I do this from my phone? I can't send.
Sister tried to make curry. She burned it, but then I know she tried. I said nothing.
You gotta be careful who curry you eat. I remember when I was
My
small.
mother's make best curry in Trinidad. I find she was making it was real good. And I had some real good curry I have had.
You are,
I make a curry, but I make a curry like good. Rival my mother, it was so good. I had to tell you, Maria smile, I tell her this curry like my mother, it tastes almost like my mother.
they have a family in Karapi, China. The mother there, she used to run a roti shop. She's make the best roti in Trinidad, but she stopped. But now, in businesses that open, the best roti in Trinidad is Roti Cafe, and that's who catering. How are you then?
Sings in Florida there, that was big roti, but it was like had no taste, had no flavor. I'm sorry, the only Trinidadian anyone, but it wasn't good. Alrighty, so we get back inside the Sense and Sensibility, and before we go through, check thing where we start. People, don't forget, this weekend is Black. Kabuki's Black La Soledad Estate. Oh boy, you know the place, you know where it is. But I should remind you again, just in case you just brand new information for you. The exclusive La Soledad Estate, Morocco St. Joseph, Kabuki's Black this Saturday. It's coming on, starting up everything. From 10 p.m. going all the way to 4 a.m. This is perfect gift for $200 for a ticket. 5 lucky moms will be serenaded on stage, and 1 lucky mother will leave Kabuki's Black with all smiles indeed. Prices to be won, there are prices to be won. Mr. One Stop Mart, you can get your tickets there in the River All Road, Cleves, in Spain, Bobby's Barbecue, Party Foods, Arima, Fox International, Sylvester's Bar, In Excess, La Luna Banaruka Salam Shops of Arima, Diamonds by Sarah and South, Kirby's Barbershop in Chicago. These are the places to get your tickets. They're $200. Alright. With that being said, we still continuing to talk here about the state of our country. And I remember people I was telling you all of that earlier. All that going on, all the weakness, all the lies that you wake up to every morning, you're watching the news in the night, you're looking and reading the newspaper during the day, you're watching it, you're seeing it wrong. You're seeing, you're obviously it wrong, you know. And then you hear the lies.
No, because
the pre-action protocol letters.
No. Forget that. We'll fight them in court. Kevin, I want you to understand. We, by our vote, tell the Commissioner of Police, go ahead and fail. 500 murder a year is okay. TV6 and CNC3 put out 2 stories yesterday. TV6 story is Trinidad and Tobago Police Service warning car theft up. CNC3 story is Trinidad and Tobago Police Service say larceny of motor vehicles is down. So theft is up and larceny is down. Trinidadians accept that. Trinidadians accept that. Foolishness prevails. I want to call on the media to have some integrity. When you get these people in front of you, anybody who says that they're in politics or they're in leadership, ask them questions. Ask them real questions. There is one question to ask of the case that took 17 years to prosecute of the young girl who was raped in the police station by the ranking officer. There is only one question. If I was in media, you could talk for how long have you want after. I asking one question. 17 years. I asking you one question. How did that case take so long? Because in developed world, there is a clock on a case. And the judge is responsible for that case to finish within a time frame. 5 years, generally, for criminal matters. 5 years, you're allowed. How did this take 17 years? How did it take 25 years to convict the man who broke into Stevens and Johnson's? Do we have more cases on remand for murder than can be handled in the country? As has been told to me by criminal lawyers, that there are some people in jail who have to sit in jail for 30 to 40 years because the court system cannot have. Now, we live in a country.
We have a very intelligent minister who was open the cat out of the bag by saying that.
He in trouble. He in trouble. He in trouble. He in trouble. He's a lawyer and he knows. Stuart Young knows. He who alleges must prove. He said he has to prove. He has to prove. And if the Law Association have any testicular fortitude, Stuart Young should be disbarred. Because he is now the Attorney General, the titular head of the bar, acting Attorney General for Faris Al-Rawi, who's a next joker and a comic clown. But let's focus on this one. He who alleges must prove is the foundation principle of jurisprudence in Trinidad and Tobago. Stuart Young must be made to give evidence what he did that made it worse. He indicted the entire Trinidad and Tobago Police Service when he said the police is already aware. So he is saying to the nation that not only do you have corrupt lawyers, that you have corrupt police officers, and the police officers not taking action on the corrupt lawyers. The
Law Association has said nothing.
No. Pamela Elder, Israel Khan, Sophia Choate, they've all stood up. They've all stood up and they've asked him. They've asked him. No, bro. I just saying to you, Stuart Young, stop stunting. If you know, as you say you know, that there are lawyers, criminal lawyers in this country facilitating crime, end the circus. You have the benefit of parliamentary privilege. Name them. Israel Khan said so. Israel Khan said, call names. Because you can't do that. You cannot do that. You brought the entire profession. Now they need to disbar him now. No. He has to be disbarred. He put the entire law association, law profession in this country into disrepute. Now I am not saying that I am disagreeing that there are corrupt people in this country at every level. It has to be. Has to be. We've spent $600 billion in the last 10 years. It cost Haiti $21 billion to buy their freedom from France. We spend enough money to buy Haiti 10 times over. We gotta own Haiti. With $600 billion that we spend under Manning, Pandey, Kamala, and Rowley, and have crap all to show for it. And any of the things, the shiny buildings they put up there to distract you, check yourself. We still owing the Chinese for that. We owing the Chinese for Sapa, Napa, Tapa. We owing the Chinese for Taruba and the Kuva Hospital. So all the billions that spent under Manning, Kamala, Pandey, and Rowley, where the money gone?
Chinese will get it back in
where the money gone?
They will get back
There are businessmen in this country that are getting away with financial murder. The banks are unregulated and are destroying businesses. Bank is not facilitating business in this country anymore. You know. Banks are destroying businesses. People cannot access credit, which is the critical lifeblood of business, and people cannot access foreign exchange in a country that manufactures nothing. So if we cannot control our banks, we cannot police our borders, we cannot operate our communities, we cannot respond in times of medical emergencies, and we cannot educate our children, what the hell is the government doing? What's it doing? And I want Basdeo Pandey to explain to the nation, and I want Kamla Prasad Bisesa and whoever is Manning inheritors to explain to the nation what was done on their track. Don't tell me about your Bill school and your Bill police station. Tell me why the police service is still corrupt and rogue. Because all of you say it. All of you say you cannot fix crime because the police service is corrupt and rogue. But none of you have done anything to streamline and fix the corrupt and rogue police service. The Progressive Empowerment Party says, we will contract New York City Internal Affairs and bring them here and pay them, mandate, clean up our police service in 6 months, and then operate our internal affairs so that any corrupt and rogue and criminal police officer would be prosecuted. Not one. Not Manning, not Pandey, not Kamala, not Rowley. Not one.
People look at Pandey as a savior, no?
Pandey, not one secure the nation's borders. Not one. The Coast Guard is still parked as far as is physically possible to park the Coast Guard away from Cedros and the South Coast where the drugs and the guns passing.
Yeah.
It's like somebody said, how far could we park the Coast Guard and it still be in Trinidad? From the actual theater of operations where we actually need the Coast Guard. Why would the helicopters that you need to police the South Coast be based in the north of the island? To waste 45 minutes flying time and gas to go and burn holes in the sky. Why would that be so? I am saying to Trinidad and Tobago, the PNM and the UNC are indistinguishable from each other. Captains and cooks and players at the front is a waste of time. Having conversations with people about popularity and treating your politics like a beauty contest is continuing to encourage the failure of this nation. Trinidad is a third world nation, a failed nation, a narco state, and any other banana republic term that you could come up with. And that is a crime against humanity, because this nation should be the wealthiest nation in the world. For tourism, we should be the tourist capital of the world. Trinidad and Tobago should be so wealthy. People from other countries lie and pretend there is Trinity too, but we're not. We're not. Oil and gas made us the third wealthiest in the Western Hemisphere. Pitch, shipping, marine, pleasure boats, tourism, all of those things could have made us the wealthiest in the world. Healthcare, we could have had tourism, healthcare to rival anybody. Look how close we are to Cuba. We could have twinned with Cuba. We spent $5 billion a year. Cuba has spent $5 billion in the last 2 decades. Cuba has the best healthcare in the world. Imagine that.
Mr. Manning went, we know.
Imagine that. Anyway, thanks a lot, Kevin, for having me here. On behalf of the Progressive Empowerment Party, thank all of you who listened. Those of you who are on social media have access to the video, please share it. A gentle reminder that every Saturday at noon at 19 Stanmore Avenue, we meet all the new members, and you can meet all of the team. Come down, bring the friends, bring the family in line with us. Share what we have to share in, sandwiches, cake, whatever. If you want to walk with something, bring it. On the 30th of June, we are having a curricue and lime at PEP headquarters, and it's going to be a very nice event. If you remember last year's barbecue, where Morgan, Job, and Crazy and all of them came by, and we just had a nice session. It's going to be a next lit session like that. Tickets are limited. I think we have 1,000 tickets. Get yours. Is a fundraiser for the party, and the catering is going to be the best roti in Trinidad and Tobago, Roti Cafe in Santa Cruz. So again, thank you, Kevin. Thank you, 104.7 listeners. Stay safe, Trinidad and Tobago.